Here, I'd like to tell you a quick story, and it's something that the honoree needs to hear. There was an old Peanuts cartoon strip many years ago where the Peanuts gang was playing Navy. And so they made hats out of newspapers. And somebody comes up to Charlie Brown and says, "I need to speak to your captain. Where is he?" And Charlie Brown points and he says, "He's over there, the one with the editorial page on his head." Just remember that. William S. Billy Morris III is Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Morris Communications Company. Even after the sale of its 11 daily and non-daily newspapers to Gatehouse Media last October, Morris continues to publish magazines and specialized publications, as well as visitor publications worldwide. Mr. Morris also continues as publisher of the Augusta, Savannah, and Athens papers. In prior years, Morris Communications has also been involved in book publishing and distribution, outdoor advertising, radio broadcasting, event marketing, commercial printing, and online services. Mr. Morris is a native of Augusta and a graduate of the University of Georgia with a Bachelor of Arts in Journalism. He is married to the former Mary Sue Sissy Ellis of Columbus, Georgia. They are the parents of 3 adult children, Will, Tyler, and Susie M. Baker. He is founder and show chairman of the Augusta Futurity and chief executive officer of the National Barrel Horse Association. He has served as chairman of the Newspaper Association of America and is a former director of the Associated Press, the Advertising Council, Inc., the Southern Company, the National Science Center Foundation, and Georgia Power Company. He is a former member and chairman of the University System of Georgia Board of Regents, and he is a former trustee of Columbia Theological Seminary. He helped found and was president of the Greater Augusta Sports Council. He founded and has chaired the Morris Museum of Art, which he established in memory of his parents, Mr. and Mrs. W.S. Morris, Jr. He was named the 1983 Outstanding Alumnus of the University of Georgia's Grady School of Journalism and Mass Communication, and has been inducted into the Mass Communication Hall of Fame at Texas Tech University. He received the first Bottom Line Award from the Media Management Club of the University of Georgia for his contributions to publications management education at the university. To this community, this state, and this nation, Billy Morris is all of these things and more. And to me, he's a friend, a mentor, and a father figure, despite being so close in age. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Billy Morris.
Mr. Morris, we're not going to let you get off this easy.
Okay.
We've got some time, and there's some people in this room that have just called me and said if there was time, they really wanted to say some other things in the special event, and we're going to allow that to happen. And Mr. Phil Kent, if you'd like to stand up from where you are, or maybe if they can hear you come forward, it'd be great. And I think Mr. John Rhodes, you want to say a few words, and then we'll be able to cut it off, but I think that'd be great. Mr. Kent?
Well, thank you, Frank, and it's good to see everybody, including a lot of old friends. But I did want to say a few words about my favorite boss who I've ever worked for. And indeed, I have to say that Mike covered the ground. What a career already, and he's still going into the office, and he's still having an impact, a pillar of Georgia journalism. I want to thank you and Lewis Harris. I think you've heard this story, but you took a chance on a young 23-year-old editorial writer, and I like to think, I have to tell the truth here, I like to think I made the interview okay, and but actually I found out that Billy Morris and Lewis called the placement job service at the University of Georgia, and they said, "We're looking for a young conservative editorial writer right out of college." And the placement guy said, "That's easy, we only have one." So I got the job. I like the thought it was merit, but I remember the interview that I had with Billy Morris, and this was the key question. And thank goodness I passed, but he asked me, would you write an editorial that you personally disagreed with? And we'd had a great chat, and we knew that we had agreed on so many issues and values that I thought, and it was a great answer, I said, yes, sir, I would do it, because you're the owner of the newspaper. And so thank you for hiring me. But just a last few words. We, without fear or favor, if we saw corruption or if we crusaded for economic revitalization and businesses, that's what a newspaper is for. And you were always a stalwart, Billy, of open records and open meetings, and we made sure that they followed the law. So I applaud you for watchdog journalism and for the great, rich journalism tradition that you established.
Don? Once you come forward, so I can see that.
I really didn't plan on doing this, frankly, but anyway.
From the heart.
In March of 1967, or spring of 67, Lewis Harris came to the University of Georgia, and he ended up recruiting me for what was in Southeastern newspapers. And 2 months ago, I had 51 years with the company. I'm now second only to Billy in longevity with the company. But Billy has just been a great supporter of me, like he's been so much of us. He sends notes to his people every now and then, thanking them for a good job. What a lot of people don't know is that Billy plays guitar. He's a big lover of bluegrass and country music, and he's been one of my biggest supporters with my Ramblin' Roads column. And the one quick thing is that he gets a lot of credit for what he does in the publishing world. He's this worldwide family media company that's just amazing, that it's been a joy to work with. But people don't understand too that he in founding the Augusta fraternity right after the Civic Center opened up, he has brought in all these very wealthy cutters for a whole week now, and it pours millions of dollars into this area. And this coming January, the Augusta fraternity celebrates its 40th anniversary, and that's all due to Billy.
Mr. Morris, we're going to back this off just a tad bit before we present the award to you, and I want to just say a few things. And you're a great man, very humble, and I've had the opportunity to watch over the many years that I've been here, and the organization of Rotary has a motto, and the motto of Rotary is service above self. And you, without a doubt, are that individual that service is above yourself. And would you please come forward and receive the 2018 Lewis Harris Award. This is an award that every winner's name is on there. We ask that you keep this for 1 year, and that you please give it back, because if you don't give it back, Mike Ryan has to pay for this. So we also we have to get the police on film. We're not going there. This is an award for you to keep, and then this is your medal that we'd like for you to wear and to honor this award. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Lewis Harris Award winner 2018, Mr. Billy Morris.
Well, thank you, Frank and Mike and all of you who said nice things about me. I've truly been blessed with wonderful parents. My family came here in 1823. Jeremiah Morris, we came here with his stepfather in 1823. He was a 19-year-old boy. And so we've been here for 7 generations. And so truly, like many of you, I love this town. I feel blessed to have been here. It's a great privilege we've been in the grocery business, the railroad business, the real estate business, the newspaper business twice, and probably a few more others as a family. So it's a great privilege to have a job where you can make a contribution. That contribution is not necessarily mine, but it's their contribution that a lot of people who have worked at the newspaper and who worked in other places in our community have made along with me. So it's been wonderful. You know, my philosophy is each of us live in a community. These are our communities. They belong to us, and we have the choice of making them great communities, making them better than we found them, and leaving them better, or just doing nothing and letting them deteriorate. And fortunately, I had a platform in which I could, as Phil has already said, I had a platform where I could make a difference. And we could stay on the politicians, we could make them account for what they do. A few of them went to jail, a few of them went out to field. I mean, we had a few problems along the way, but in every single case we were right, we did the right thing. And with the help, you know, there are 5 of us in this room that have worked with Lewis Harris, Phil being one of them. Clyde Wells is another. And Clyde says Lewis and I argued about whether we should hire Clyde or not. But anyway, and of course there's 2 wonderful sons here. So this is a great tribute, really, to all of us. I got to thinking about really the bottom line of what Lewis meant. And it really comes down to freedom of the press and freedom of speech. As the brochure says, he started in Montgomery, Alabama as a 19-year-old boy with a paper route. He came over here as assistant circulation manager at 20. He served in World War II overseas. He was the press secretary to General Mark Clark right after the war. And then he came back to Augusta. He worked in several other places, which are in your brochure there. He was quite active in this community, much more so than I've got in my remarks, or which is on this paper. But he loved this community, even though it was not the place where he was born. He loved it, and he wanted it to be better. He was active in relationships at Fort Gordon. He was active with the civic clubs. He was a wonderful speaker. He had a great sense of humor. But above all, underneath that, he loved this town and he wanted to make it better. And he had a platform that made a big difference there. He had an opportunity to witness one of the first atomic bomb explosions when they were experimenting with the atomic bomb at Yucca Flats. He went out there on invitation. They invited some press people, and he went out there and he filmed an atomic bomb explosion with a home 16mm family camera, and those films are still available today. He was the first one to receive this award, and which was given in his honor in May of 1978, and he died about 2 months later. I had the privilege of working beside him for 20 years, as did some others in this room. I'm 83 years old, so he and I worked together for a long time. He was knowledgeable and he was committed to the founding principles of our government, particularly freedom of speech, which is freedom of the press. So while this award carries Lewis's name, in reality, it's a tribute to what he stood for. And first and foremost, that was freedom of expression, freedom of the press. He passionately believed in that, and he practiced it on a daily basis in our newspaper. He was never bashful about writing a story or covering a story that the public needed to know about. He was great about that. Thank goodness that our nation has had many people like Lewis, newspaper editors all over the country, who recognize the importance of freedom of the press to our nation and who worked and practiced that every day. So thank you for what this honor means in Lewis's memory. He was truly knowledgeable, he was respected as a newspaper editor, and frankly as an outstanding citizen, a contributing citizen of this community. I thank you for what this award means to freedom of the press. And we're so blessed in this country to have freedom of expression. And Lewis was the epitome of it. And thank you for giving this award to me. Before I sit down, I want to conclude. I seem to remember being in the same room with Lewis when he got the first award. I brought him here because he had cancer at that point in his life. And I brought him up here, and I was here when you gave this award in his honor. And among other things that I said that day, I concluded with, he was a forceful idea man. He was a true community leader. He was a defender of free enterprise, a good American, and above all, a Christian. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the Lewis C. Harris Award, and thank you for giving it to me today. Thank you.